actually past morning time, and I already ate my breakfast for different reasons. But anyway, I still have my toast left, and I have part of my slushy. But this is Sunday edition of the Botanica's Breakfast with Terry and Botanica's Orchid Culture A to Z. Thank you all for continuing uh, learning about culture and me showing you the plants that I have or have had experience and giving you some of my lessons. Anyhow, before I start, I want to just say something just off topic and culture related, but I was listening to the radio and they were talking about since Aretha Franklin had passed and the movie is coming out, they were talking about the best singers of all time. And, besides Aretha, they were talking about Whitney and Stephanie Mills, and they even threw in Tina Marie, and who else was in there? Of course, Shaka Khan, and I can't think of anyone else right now. They didn't even put Gladys Knight or Natalie Cole in there, but anyway, they did not throw in Lisa Stansfield, which I say she needs to be up in there, Lisa Stansfield, for sure. And I would even, but anyway, let's start with this. We are on letter D. And D is Dendrobiums, Dicea. So this is Dr. Larissa, this is a terrestrial. I actually saw one of those in Italy once and thought for a second about pulling it up. Might have been that one or Rubiquiscia. But anyway, we're on Dendrobiums, and there's no point in looking at the culture here because there's so many different Dendrobiums that it's impossible to group them all under one. So I'm just going to go through here, and the ones that I have, those are what I'm going to talk about. And I don't have any on that page. And over here, we're getting to Alexandri. Of course, I'll just let you read some of that. Of course, Papua New Guinea, low altitudes. That says cool, shady conditions. Main flowering season is autumn and spring. Intermediate to hot with good air movement and year-round watering and high humidity. Club-shaped 20-inch pseudobulbs, attractive species. There's the flower. You guys know that that's one of my favorites. That's sword lip. And amethystoglossum, I actually had one for a few years. I just never got the hang of it. It bloomed very weak for me, and there were other, it just bloomed weak for me, and I did not care about it anymore, if that makes any sense. Just because it wasn't thriving, and so I just let it do what it had to do, which was die. Now, I am just going to go through the Dendrobiums, and I'll just point them out, because there's so many of them. I'll be going back and forth, literally. You know what? I'm just going to do that because I will forget it. So let me just show you my Alexandri really quickly because I'll keep it organized. And here's my Alexandri. This is where this sits, and I just got this. Just got it. But I've had several, and I am going to give this a little bit more of the culture that I've been giving some of the other Laturias here that like the similar culture and can't come from the same areas. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do with this one because they've proven to be somewhat on the finicky side, as well as, like I said, several of them, but we'll get back to that. I'm just going through them one by one right now. And we're on this page, and here's Dendrobium anasmum. I do have anasmum, and I do have a phyllum. They're both similar plants, except a phyllum is white, very delicate pink. It's also called purity. And there is a anasmum that I don't have a straight anasmum. What I have, actually maybe I do. I don't think I do though. I'll look at the tags. I know I have an anasmum alba, but let's look at it. Widespread species, India and New Guinea. Lowland areas, so wide range of growth. Grow only 20 to 40 inches, but can be 10 foot long. Flower occurs mostly during the dry season because they are deciduous, unsuitable to a pot. And a phyllum is pretty much the same. Seasonal forests in China, lithophytic, fragrant flowers. Flowering season is in the spring. Pendulous habit. Plant must be kept dry during the winter. And that's what I do. I usually try to give these deciduous types, I gradually introduce them into higher light. But you have to gradually do that. You can't just bring them out of the greenhouse and put them in high light. I start them off in the cage. In the greenhouse in the wintertime, they sit at the far end and the east end where it gets morning sun and it's cooler down there. So this is the alba, and I don't think it even has a tag on it, but I know it's an alba. And this one up here is a Nestor, so that's a cross. That up there is an Ephyllum, and then this right here is an Anasm compactum that was a gift. So that would indicate that that's sort of, you know, smaller than the average Anasm. And like I said, they are deciduous. They will, when it gets cold, they will start to lose their leaves in the off season, and then they are kept in the cold area, but they still get humidity and light, and they get misting, mostly misting. They don't get watered, just misted. And they're really just misted so that their canes do not shrivel. You don't want them to shrivel too much, but you still have to mist them and give them occasional drink. I should say occasional. They can't go bone dry, but the humidity and the cooler temperatures will give you some blooms. Okay, I've had atrial, and again, this is very finicky. They do not want to dry out, and I am always kind of trying to figure out how to make these things work for me as far as these finicky laturias, because this is one that is on my list because it's very heavily used in hybridization, and I've had several of them, as a lot of them that you will see in here, but I don't have it now. Bifalcae is another laturia, very different. Actually, this laturia is one of the most popular, not popular, but one of the most heavily, you will see it all over New Guinea, and it is very lithophytic in nature, grows in exposed situations where there is intense light and heat, and they prefer cooler temperatures in the winter, and then they generally flower in the spring to summer. That's a bifalcae. That's the flower. Let me see if there's anything else that I have. Of course, there's that canaliculatum, and that's canaliculatum, pronounced dry season, can be deciduous, and they are fragrant. And that's that. So my canaliculatum, since I'm right here, is right here. You can see the roots. It's just in a leca, pumice, maybe some gross stone in there, and it's got some new growths that are maturing. It bloomed nicely for me this winter, early spring. Very fragrant, colorful flowers. That's my canaliculatum. Then over here, where I have acclimated it to the area over here in my outside that perhaps gets the most sun, and my bifalcae is right here. Bifalcae, and it's just in lava rock, as you can see. It gave me that growth this spring. That's really a nice growth. I'm really expecting a lot out of this plant. I really want to see it bloom. I am so glad that I have it. Let's move on back. Like I said, that also goes sort of in the same area where I put my deciduous dendrobiums, in that cool window, but they still get water, they still get moisture, and it's not cool, it's not cold or freezing. And same as my caniculatum, this sort of sits high in that area, kind of an intermediate temperature, not all the way cold. Okay, let's turn the page. Capiculatum, I used to have, but I don't anymore. Criminatum, I do have a criminatum. I have a couple of them actually, and this is known as like the pigeon orchid, the dove orchid. I've heard it known as like the thunderstorm orchid because it's usually the flowering is usually stimulated by the drop in barometric pressure. But anyway, one of the first Dendrobium species to be recorded from Asia, Philippines. Swollen pseudobulbs that taper into long, slender stem, often bear numerous aerial roots, and the fragrant flowers last for 1 day. Produces a large number of flowers and drop in temperature. Grows best on a tree. So that's my criminatum, and I have a couple of criminatums because I really love this plant. It's very nice. It can be kind of wild, and this is one of my criminatums. You can see how the bulbs are fat and then they taper up, and you can see up here along the stem here where there's nodes here, that's where the buds will come out just suddenly and will be the flowers like such. Suddenly. Criminatum. It is in sphagnum. Well, it's just in the pot, it's just potted up, and it's in bark with some sphagnum here to keep it on the moist side. And I have another one. I think it's in here, or it actually might be out here now. Let me think. I believe it's got to be out here. But let me look in here first. And if it's not in here, then forget it. It lost its time in the spotlight. I don't see you. There's another caniculatum. But yeah, I do not see. It was hitchhiking on a plant. And I don't see it. So, okay. But I do have two. And they're both doing okay. Okay. And there's another aphyllum. This is my aphyllum right here. And I've had this forever, Parardi. And I've never taken it off of this mount. And I've had this for 20 years, and I probably ought to do it. But I don't care because, and I just dropped it. But I don't care because it gives me blooms, maybe 1 or 2 a year season, and they're very nice and delicate, and it's small on that mount. It's not big and long and dangly, and so I like it like that. You know, I like it. It's manageable. In that case, you're good. Okay. Moving on. Crystallinum. I used to have one. I don't anymore. But I had one for a few years, and I do want to get another one because that is an excellent plant. They are the same. They are deciduous. They like it a little bit cooler in the winter. They can take it because they grow in moderate altitudes in the mountain forests. Distinct dry seasons. So these can take a little bit more of a strict rest. But they are better when they get misted and watered, you know, every now and then. They're not completely dry. And they are fragrant, very lightly fragrant. Bloom towards the end of winter into spring. But I no longer have that plant. Densiflorum discolor. I have my discolor mounted. This is a antelope type from New Guinea. Grows over water, streams, under full sun. Very robust pseudobulbs, 16 inches feet. Can grow that. One of the largest orchid species, of course. Flowers are born on long pseudobulbs, or long inflorescence, I'm sorry. And it just describes that again. I believe they are fragrant, maybe, but if not, they are very beautiful. And there's the flower right there. Did that say, yeah, did it say keep drier in the night? And that's more for, I think, in the winter time. Here's my discolor right here. And when I got it, it had these 3 growths, maybe this one. And I mounted it on just this whatever plaque. And it gave me this growth. And then it gave me this growth, and it's given me 2 growths actually this year. This is the 3rd year that I've had it. This year it's given me 2 growths. But it's sort of the end of the season. I hope that it's doing okay. Like I said, it's a little bit late for it to be growing. These are the bulbs that have matured over the summer, so it's giving me more to grow. So you can see that it's going to be growing throughout the season, if that makes any difference, you know, like through the winter when the book says to give it a dry rest. So I can't really give it a dry rest because, as you can see, it's still growing. And there's even another growth back in there that's tucked back there. So that's how I am doing with that plant. But they generally bloom from the top, near the top of the canes. You can see it's previously bloomed. That's discolor. Dendrobium discolor. Okay. Then there's farmerite, and I used to have farmerite for years. I don't have farmerite anymore. It bloomed lovely for it while I had it, and then I repotted it, and then it just went downhill. Forbesii is one that I am on the verge of giving up. It's really a lovely, lovely, lovely Dendrobium turia if you can grow it, if you have the cooler conditions. It grows from mountain rainforests of New Guinea. The flowers are fragrant like honey. It does like to be moist, but again, like I said, it's a cooler growing variety, and I just couldn't do it. I mean, I'll show you my dead one that I thought was going to survive it, but it just didn't, and I don't know if I can get another one, but we'll see. These over here, Johannes, here's my favorite, Johnsonia. I don't have it anymore. Again, it's another one that's on the cooler side, moderate altitudes, but likes the moisture. Very beautiful thing, but I don't have it. These two don't anymore. Keithii, Levifolium, nope. Lasianthera, I do have Lasianthera, but it's I'll show it to you. This is another one of those antelope types from New Guinea, similar in the similar area of New Guinea that discolor comes from. Along the rivers, hot, humid, big plant, very colorful flowers. That's the flower. Let's look here. Laudagesi. I used to have a Laudagesi. I don't have a Laudagesi anymore. Macrophyllum. I have macrophyllums basically from the same areas. Hot, steamy lowlands. 2 feet tall. Flowers for about 2 months. Hairy flowers. Very big club shape. Let's see what's here. Nobile, Parisia, I don't have any of that. Polysema, no. Rhodostictum, I have a dead rhodostictum that I will probably still continue to grow. That is rhodostictum, but I just love it. It's a miniature, but again, mountain rainforest, steep mossy limestone slopes. Should not allow to dry out completely. All right, and then we're here with signatum, which I just got a signatum. Myanmar hasn't bloomed for me yet. And I did have a speciosum a long time ago. It did bloom for me nice, but those are Hugh Mongadonga. And here's my Steer Spectabile. That is Synonym dentigrinum, the alien orchid. Again, lowland areas, hot, steamy, blooms for several weeks, flowers best when established. And Trinum, Thriciflorum, I've never been successful with Thriciflorum, Venustum, but I've never had a Victoria Reginae. So I will just show you my signatum and then my spectabile. I think that's The only other ones, oh, I can show you my dead rhodostictum. So let's just do that first, although I might have skipped, oh, Lasianthera and macrophyllum. Let me show you the Lasianthera, which if you remember, it was up here, it was actually sitting over there. I've been keeping it kind of in a semi-hydro position. These like a lot of water, but since it fell out, I haven't really dealt with it. It was sitting in another pot that had the semi-hydro where it could not get the, well, this is a semi-hydro pot, but it was sitting in a cache pot where, you know, it caught the water, and so there was always a little reservoir in there. I don't know what to do with it. I think I'm just going to put some sphagnum because I don't want those roots to dry out. And this is just what I'm doing on the fly. And that's just what I'm going to do with it. And I'm going to put it in here with my other one and get it some moisture in there right now, so that I will not leave it hanging high and dry, because those new little growths in there need moisture in order to keep the plant sustained. But that is Lasianthera, and it is a very pretty but hard, difficult to grow, because it is big and its conditions are just such that it's just very difficult in cultivation. Very difficult. Okay, so I have to show you macrophyllum and my dead Forbesii. So my macrophyllum is right here, and I just got this at the beginning of the grow season. It actually fell. This is the pot, and I am actually, it fell out. I need to fill this with media, because what I'm going to do is try to acclimate it to this pot and not remove it from its original pot. And in doing that, it has survived. It matured. It matured another growth besides this growth. I want to say it was this growth. And my spectabile is right here next to it. Again, it's in the same pot that it was in, but I put it in a bigger pot and put more media in it so that I wouldn't disturb it. And it gave me a new growth here. And it actually was in bloom when I got it. So, that's that. There's my Alexandrite that I already pointed you out. And there's one more over here that I know that, what was it? Dan. Now I have to go back and look. Yeah, I'm gonna go look. Because I know I'm walking right past it. Okay. So there's Macrophylla, Lasianthera. No. Oh, I know. You know, I was walking right past the dead thing. And it's right here. My rhodostictum that I'm talking about, that I've tried all so many times just in my orchid hobby growing. And there's yet another. So let's move on through D. All right. So we're done with the Dendrobiums, basically. And we're on to Dendrobium Kobiano. No, convoluforme. I actually had one of these, and they just didn't do so well. They were very tiny and small, and they're very intermediate temperature. What I had was macranthum. What I have is macranthum, grandiflorum, and this is also a cool grower. So I will put this in the cool end of the greenhouse, high up where it will get sun. And it generally flowers in the spring from new growths. Or, no. Yeah, it flowers during the summer, because the growths come up late winter, early summer, and then they come up immediately. And here's my Dendrobium. And it did put up growths, but it did not bloom. But it's an immature plant. These plants, the leaves are like 2 feet long. It's a big plant. Just so you know, it's a big plant. Okay, moving right along. That's the only Dendrobium that I have, magnum, but pretty flower. I've tried all of these. Wenzelii, no go. Tenellum, I think they're both just too cool or growers. Dendroflax, no. Dimorphorchis, let's look at this. Lowland hill forest in Borneo, monopodio, resembling vandas. Should be grown in bright light, although full sun should be avoided. Year-round moisture, good air circulation. Coarse material. I have a Dimorphorchis soloi, large growing species, sea level. Strappy leaves, 40 inches. Pendulous inflorescence, lower 2 flowers, you can read it, small fragrance. I think only one of the color flowers are fragrant, but they do produce 2 different color flowers. Very unusual plant. I love it, and I have it. And I just repotted it just last week. And here it is, my Dimorphorchis soloi. There's a couple tags. But anyway, yeah, it's done very well for me. It's grown a couple leaves since I've got it. And the root is still trying to climb out of the pot. Its wingspan is nice and long. I mean, I just can't complain about it at all. This is where it sits. In the wintertime, it sits in this end of the greenhouse. It's in the warm end. No cold for that. Vanda types. Okay, very unique. Okay, so the next that I have is, I don't. Diplocalobum, no way. Then there's Dipodiums, no. Disas, no. Disparis, no. Diurus, no. Dracula, okay. Now, Dracula's used to be Dendrobium, and some people still call them Dendrobiums. They're also from Eastern Australia, New Guinea, Vanuatu, epiphytes or lithophytic. They grow in rainforests and open forests in bright light, low altitudes, terete leaves, and that's basically, it's the same thing. High humidity, because you generally want to mount them. Now I've had rough success with a lot of these because I've had a lot of them, and I think when I initially got them, I was just starting out in my greenhouse with higher humidity, with a lower humidity, I want to say, and so I wasn't really giving them what they needed, which is higher humidity. And so I had a cucumberinum, I had linguiformis, but I don't now. I have a striolatum, I had a terretifolium, and I had a wassilii, and I would love to have them all because they're nice, they're fragrant. Here's my striolata, lithophyte, occurs, exposed rocks, forms mats, blah blah blah. And here is, just to show you, here's my striolatum right here. Here is one that's here, it's still blooming size, and here's the other that bloomed really nice for me. And just to show you another specimen Dracula that I have, it's not in that book, but this is my Dracula schoenina that has done really well for me. It bloomed right before in the early spring, and it is still putting out growths, and looks like that's going to be a new flower bud, but it's growing really well, and I'll show those to you when it happens. And is there still a tag on here? I got this plant from Tony Wells, but it's schoenina, schoenina species. Okay, put this tag right here back. Okay, folks, and let's see if there's anything left here. Yes, of course. Here we go. Dracula, no Draculas, and that looks like that's it. Next week is E, Which, what does E mean? Areas? Encyclias? Epidendrum? Yeah, okay. So we'll see. Stay tuned for next Sunday for Breakfast with Terry and Botanica's Orchids Culture from A to Z. Thanks for watching and enjoy your orchids. Bye.